Well, hey, we're gonna watch the match together here. So we have this match from Victory Road, and it's from 2009. We're at the show, and then we're not gonna sit and listen to the whole thing. We're gonna interact, comments. I have Meltzer's review, and guys from Ad Free, if you have some things that you want to talk to Kurt about, that we can do as we watch this match together. Kurt, are you ready to watch this?
I am ready, Paul.
All right, let's go. I am going to make sure that we get this all set up for YouTube with our branding here, and we'll go ahead and take a look. Here we go.
Samoa Joe, we are all waiting for an answer. Why would you join the Main Event Mafia?
It was a masterpiece designed by the master himself, me. When Samoa Joe returned from the beating the Main Event Mafia gave him a few months ago. He was an animal, thirsty for blood.
Samoa Joe's freaking insane! This nation of violence thing has just gone way too far!
And we knew we had to sign Samoa Joe. But Samoa Joe's price tag was a little steep. And that is where Jenna came in.
The last thing we need is for her to invest her millions in TNA. So what I want you to do is charm the pants off that.
You said you were the hottest thing ever to be in TNA.
For the past few weeks, we had every member of the Main Event Mafia taking a bullet for the greater of the family.
My only purpose for being here is to torture the Main Event Mafia.
Joe going up the ladder. Angle follows him up.
He just handed the belt to Kurt Angle!
Kurt Angle has become TNA World Heavyweight Champion thanks to one man, Samoa Joe.
I'm cashing in the rematch clause, Kurt. It's going to be me and you, one-on-one for the World Heavyweight Championship. In my contract, it states that I have the right to pick my opponent, not you. When you want something from the Main Event Mafia, you have to give something back.
What is this we hear that you gave Scott and Booker a title shot with beer money at Victory Road? In return, you get a title shot with Kurt Angle. We deserve that rematch.
How about we put two of the greatest tag teams, and the winner goes on to take on beer money at Victory Road. I like it.
You committed the cardinal sin when you crossed the boss and went back on your word. You knew there would be consequences. You knew there would be a penance to be paid.
This does not look good for Mick Foley.
I know this is hard to watch, but this is some payback for when he went against Kurt Angle and he allowed Team 3D to get back in that title picture when he'd made an agreement.
Oh, this is too much. Look at the barbed wire in the man's face.
The dynasty of the Main Event Mafia continues.
You know that I may not have much, and I've made my share of mistakes. I tapped out Kurt, and it made me sick to my stomach, and I vowed I'd never feel that way again. If you can beat me, go ahead. If you're thinking about me tapping, it just won't happen. At Victory Road, we find out who the true TNA World Heavyweight Champion is. No Main Event Mafia, no Mick Foley security. One-on-one.
Mick Foley challenges Kurt Angle in a rematch for the TNA World Heavyweight Championship.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is it. It's main.
All right, so there it is. It's the World Championship match. Love that belt. Love that TNA Championship title belt.
It is pretty, man. Yeah.
So, Kurt, you're you mentioned it. We joked around about you growing your stubble right now, but what was the decision? Brian Haremza even said on the show, were you trying to grow your hair out at this time? What was the thought? What was the thought?
What little hair I had left.
Yeah, just a different look for you?
You know what? I was doing a movie called Warrior, and my Russian fighter that I played, Koba, was supposed to have hair on his chin and a little bit up on top of the head. So I kind of liked it, and I kept it for a while.
So that was just, hey, you know what? I'm liking the stubble look, and I'm gonna do that. We got the tail. Yeah, I like it. It adds a little twist, and probably not having to bick as often, right? Obviously. You got the tail of the tape. Foley fights for TNA's future. Angle's battling for Mafia control and domination. I don't know if it gets sexier than that. But, yeah, this is a big match. They did a nice job kind of recapping the fight going into it, which I enjoyed. Watching the barbed wire. And, Kurt, you're jumping all over the place in these highlights. I mean, you were kind of reckless with the way that you used your body in these TNA days.
Yeah, I was, man. I put everything on the line. I had a better career in TNA than I did in WWE, which is hard for me to say. But I took a lot more chances in TNA.
You did. I mean, there's leaps off of stages. There's moonsaults off of cages. There's jumps into the crowd. We saw some of it there. I mean, you were all over the place. Here comes the man known for the red and black plaid, and he's sporting it as he walks down to the ring. And it's more that Cactus Jack look that he's sporting with the tights and the boots. Yeah, bang bang. This is the character that I fell in love with as a kid, man, because he just didn't give a shit about his body hurting himself and whoever he was in the ring with.
You know what? He had a few good characters, to be honest with you, but this was my favorite too.
Yeah. I mean, not taking away anything from Mankind or Dude Love, all creative, all fun in their own way. But you knew when he came out looking like that, it was going to be somebody was getting the shit kicked out of him, or he was being destroyed. Let's listen to your little opener here.
About the pep talk that didn't work in terms of Mick Foley talking to AJ Styles and Beer Money Incorporated. At the same time, I don't know whether it was a pep talk or I don't know whether it was an ultimatum. But when we saw Kurt Angle talk to Kevin Nash, Booker T, Scott Steiner, Samoa Joe, and tell them it was win or else, what can I say? Every member of the Main Event Mafia has delivered tonight.
You don't want to look at the negative.
Amazing reception, full of booze and hatred for Kurt Angle at this point. What's up with it? Talk to me about you're going with a little different. This is the fashionista point of the Kurt Angle show. The striped, the knee pads and the slinglet. That's a different look for you.
It's the Godfather look.
Okay. That's what you're going for.
Pinstripe suit, pinstripe singlet.
Duh. Hello, Bromwell. I get it now. All coming together. Okay. It's Jeremy Borash on the call.
TNA official, Mr. Andrew Thomas. And now...
Any thoughts and memories of Andy Thomas as the referee? Did you guys party at all?
He was good. I really enjoyed his work. He was my second favorite behind Brian Hebner.
Okay.
Brian was the guy.
I knew he was your guy.
I told you about him. He was really good. But this guy was pretty good too.
Andrew Thomas. All right. Give a little shout out, little love from Kurt Angle here on the Kurt Angle show.
Kurt Angle, Andrew.
We never talk about Andrew here on the show, so let's give him his flowers here. Speaking of flowers, I noticed that you had a big one on your shirt that you were wearing.
Yeah, that was a new Main Event Mafia t-shirt.
Wow. It's unfortunate we can't still purchase that one. Maybe we can get a similar design for the Kurt Angle show store. That would be fun.
Not a bad idea.
There's a lot of talk going on here, though. Like, let's just start fighting. Okay, guys? Jeremy, what are we doing? Are we selling stuff on the TNA store? Now, Kurt, you are so lean here, pal.
That's from the movie. I had to get down to 195 pounds. I had to lose 35 pounds. Wow. It wasn't easy, man. I had to diet my ass off.
Where are you at right now, weight-wise?
I'm about 215.
So you're, what, 20-some pounds?
20 pounds heavier than I was there. Yeah.
Oh, my goodness, Kurt.
Yep.
It's unfortunate.
I worked my butt off, man, and it wasn't easy. And don't forget, at this point in time, I was still drinking 12-pack of beer every night. So that's 1,200 calories. So what little food I ate.
What were you even eating?
I had to have a 2,000 calorie a day meal or plan. So I was only eating 800 calories because I had to have my liquor.
Oh my goodness! And I know what you eat now.
I lost a lot of muscle size because of that.
Oh man! So overall, you're just you look like this, but you're really in poor health, nutrition-wise.
I'm a wreck. I was a wreck. I really was. You can't even recognize me here. I mean, it's
no. You look anemic.
Yeah, yeah.
No tan.
I was really pale too.
Yeah, I was gonna I just right there. You were pale. You don't even look tan. Yeah. Wow. And you're wearing white shoes. It's an interesting look for Kurt Angle.
Yeah. This was my weird stage of my career.
Guys, weird Kurt Angle is what we're on. He's the TNA heavyweight champion. Wow. And
somebody should have fired me for wearing those shoes.
Yeah. What is up with the shoes? Brian Haremza said, if I drink a 12-pack, I feel like I gain 100 pounds. Yeah, exactly. That was like Kurt's breakfast to lunch. Yeah. Oh man, let's get into some of the notes here, some of the synopsis on the match, because Meltzer has a review of the show overall. He said, "There's no nice way to write about TNA's Victory Road pay-per-view on July 19th in Orlando. The best you can say is that history has shown that even the worst pay-per-view possible isn't going to have major long-term negative effects. The show was a classic example of how the mentality of the company has changed over the past few years." And I want to get your reaction to some of this. When TNA started doing 3-hour pay-per-view shows, they quickly garnered a reputation for doing the best pay-per-view shows in the business. The reason is that at the time, those in charge made it a priority. Matches were put together with the mentality of having mostly good matches on a show. If for storyline reasons there was to be a bad match, an attempt was made to balance it out in other ways on the show. This show looked bad on paper because there wasn't that one match that could point to and give 20 minutes to pick up the slack for the bad matches. All of the usual standouts had problems. Kurt Angle was in with a groin pull, suffered while filming fighting scenes for the MMA role he's playing in a movie. And Mick Foley, who is limited but is usually smart enough to camouflage those limitations, went in with the idea of providing a gimmick-free match. I wonder whose idea was that.
No, it's mine.
Yeah. While it was far it was far from the usual Angle pay-per-view quality. It was the only above average match on the show. But I mean, Kurt, that's a solid synopsis of TNA at this point in time right now, isn't it?
Yeah, you know what? They got away from the wrestling. They were known as a wrestling company, wrestling pay-per-views, even a TV. And now we're doing all these storylines and a lot less wrestling. And not only that, but interference all the time and DQs and all this bullshit. There were never straight up wins anymore. Or you know what? I'll give you an example. Main Event Mafia, I believe in this pay-per-view, we won all of our matches. Not once did we cheat. Why not? We were the heels. We all should have cheated, and we didn't.
Well, I got to ask. He mentioned the groin, the tearing of the groin. Talk about that when doing the movie, and then how it affected you there, and now working as back in the business.
Well, when I was doing the movie, we did the fight scenes for about 6 months. I mean, it was a lot of work. We were doing it over and over and over. Joe Egerton got hurt. He hurt his knee, so he was out for 2 months. So I'm going with his double for a couple months. And then Joe comes back. I go with him for 2 months. Tom Hardy, same thing. Something happened to him. He got sick. He had to sit out for a while. So all this was happening, and we were just trying to get the movie done. And I was working my butt off. Every day I was in the octagon fighting every single day, either wrestling their body double or the actor themselves. And I shot a double leg, and I went to lift them, and I popped my groin and I tore it. And I knew right on the spot I was in trouble. And the trainer came and checked me out, and we finished up that day. And I called WWE or TNA, and I said, I don't know if I'm going to be able to go. They said, do you think you could make it through a 10-minute match, a 12-minute match? I said, yeah, I could probably work around that. So that's probably why they had me do that promo or before the pay-per-view, where I said the match wouldn't be long because I'm going to take Mick out as soon as I can, you know? So I think that was a lot of the reason why I did that promo.
It's funny, Darren Staley put in the chat, he was Angle on the outside, but Mick Foley on the inside. With his diet and everything. Yeah, pretty much. That's a good synopsis. But as you watch yourself here, I'm sure you, Kurt, you know, obviously, you know yourself, you know your body, you're watching yourself here. Are you able to easily tell, man, I can tell my groin was hurting. I just was nowhere near where I should be in shape.
Yeah. I was really protecting it. And like that right there hurt the shit out of me.
I can imagine.
Right here, this move where I went over top rope. Oh, man, my groin popped really hard. I remember that. And I just had to protect it the whole time. I was more focused on my groin, protecting my groin, than I was the match.
Which stinks, man, because how much different could have this been, right? If you're healthy and feeling good with a great match like with Mick Foley, you know?
Well, if even with Mick's limitations because of his conditioning and everything, if I was 100% healthy, I could make the match look a lot better. I would have been able to do a lot more stuff, make Mick look a lot more dominant, and I would have been able to make the match much better than it was.
Let's go back to Dave Meltzer, because he says the show's storyline was that the main event Mafia was going to win all the major matches clean. Exactly what you said, Kurt. However, the last 2 matches ending with Sting and Foley tapping out was shocking. That wasn't the idea. Sting's supposed to get pinned after a muscle buster, but allegedly forgot the finish. Yikes. Joe twice tried to get Sting up for the finish, and Sting deadweighted him. He didn't even try a third time. He called his own audible and put Sting in the choke and called for Sting to tap out. Do you remember any of this? Are you in Gorilla? Yeah, go ahead.
I was like, shit, we're in trouble, because I'm going to make Mick tap out. And that means the heels win the last 2 matches by tap out. You talk about domination. That's not supposed to happen when you're heels. So I was even thinking about calling an audible and just pinning Mick. But the people in charge told me to stick with the tap out.
All right, we're going to keep going with this show as we watch this together with Meltzer's, reliving this. He said the show, and we talked about this, also featured one of the worst pay-per-view matches in history with Sharmell versus Jenna-Sharmell. The match looked terrible on paper, and nobody has been able to give an explanation as to why it was booked in the first place. They had been building a TV program. Listen, if somebody wants to wrestle Jenna, I mean, come on. But it's not like anyone was clamoring for the match, and there are ways to do it while hiding them, such as a mixed tag. I mean, come on, right? He's spot on, correct. And only having him do a few carefully planned spots. Jenna's performance may have been the worst since Jackie Gaeta's TV debut on Raw, coming off of Tough Enough. Actually, it was worse than that, since Jenna couldn't have even run the ropes in a straight line, and her slaps were among the worst in history. Yikes. Sharmell's had some training, as she wrestled some gimmick matches in WCW when they were dying, and went to OVW to train to be a wrestler in WWE before she's let go, and then later brought back as Booker's manager. But why on earth did they have her wrestle in an evening gown? It's like they were handicapped to begin with, and that only made things worse. Not only does wearing the gown limit mobility, but the material in the gown was falling off all over the ring, making things appear even more second-rate. Kurt, do you remember any backstage reaction watching this debacle?
You know what? I'll tell you this. It wasn't Jenna's fault. She had no idea what she was doing. She should have never been in this position. If anything, they should have had her train for a little bit, at least 4 to 6 weeks. Let her get ready for this. Let her learn the spots. All she had to do is learn that match. She didn't have to learn how to wrestle. But she could have learned how to hit the ropes, learn how to bump, and learn just a few spots for the match. The match wasn't that long, so they could have done a lot better job with it if they would have opened up their eyes and stopped being jackasses.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. You mentioned how you said, hey, this is going to be a quick match. Meltzer acknowledges that in his comments too. He said after the first match, Angle did an interview telling people not to expect a pay-per-view quality main event. Let's just let you all know that up front.
Warning.
They didn't acknowledge his injury, just saying that he was out to beat Foley as quick as possible. He also said that if anyone in the Mafia loses on the show, they will be fired on the spot. It was nice to tell everyone the finishes ahead of time, according to Dave Meltzer. But what do you think? Do you think that ruined it at all?
Okay, if I say the match is going to be a short match, doesn't mean it's going to be.
Yeah.
If I say that I'm going to fire all the main event Mafia members that lose, doesn't mean I'm going to. I mean, I do understand what he's saying, but it wasn't like we were giving everything away. I was just telling them like it was, what would happen if this situation occurred. That doesn't mean you're giving it away. I don't believe that for a second.
We got a question from the chat, and I'm going to ask it here, and it brought it up to Darren because that slinglet and just the ring shape and the shoes and the whole 9 yards of how you're carrying yourself in the ring. But he says this isn't match specific, but I'm just wondering, David Schultz, would he have been a better fit for pro wrestling or MMA?
Dave Schultz, definitely MMA. He was a guy that would tie you in a knot and hurt you. He was a mean dude. He very nice in person. Well, you get him on the wrestle mat, he's a monster. I mean, this guy was whipping my ass. I was 220 pounds. He was 165. Right when I got out of college, he's beating the shit out of me. I mean, he was a badass. He was a tough son of a gun. He literally gut wrenched me and he popped my rib. I mean, he just knows how to inflict pain.
Right.
And he's really good at it. And I remember one time he broke the Turk, the best Turk on the Olympic team, his arm, broke his arm wrestling, and he did it on purpose. And I remember when I went over to Turkey, they thought that, or you know what, it was his brother Mark. No, it was Dave. It was Dave.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was Dave or Mark. I can't remember which one.
That's okay. It was a long time ago. Yeah.
But I went over to Turkey, and they mistook me for Mark, and they were worried that somebody was going to try to kill me.
Oh, no.
Because the Turk got his arm broken. And I was like, holy shit, like, what do I do? So they gave me security, and I walked around with security while I was in Turkey.
Now listen, as we watched that, speaking of badasses and crazy things, we just saw Foley do his traditional move where he jumps off the side of the ring, elbows you onto the floor, which I've always just thought, what a spot. I mean, it hurts him almost more than it hurts you.
Could you imagine what his hips are like now?
No, dude. That's why he hobbles around everywhere. Talk to me about the sock. How did that taste? Did you enjoy the taste of the old gym sock in your mouth?
Let me tell you this. He doesn't wash it.
It's like your wrestling headgear that you used to wear.
Yes. It's like the wig.
The wig, that's it. Yeah, the wig, that's it.
It stinks, man. It stinks really badly.
He's got you tied up here pretty good, like a pretzel. This looks like and that sock is like halfway down your gullet.
I want to know how many mouths that sock was in.
Yeah, exactly. Trust me, you're not the first, and you probably won't be the last, as Ric Flair says. So here, we're going to read the final review of this match as we start to watch it wind down here from Meltzer. He says, Kurt Angle, this really isn't a spoiler. This happened in 2009, guys. Beat Mick Foley in 14 minutes, 6 seconds to retain the TNA title. Crowd was dead. They did the best they could. Angle even missed a moonsault spot. Foley used the DDT for a near fall. Foley pulled out the sock. But Angle threw Foley into referee Andrew Thomas. Another Andrew Thomas shout out. Andrew, we hope you're doing great. Angle used a low blow in the Olympic slam, but Foley kicked out. Angle blamed Thomas and gave him an elbow drop. My God, this poor guy. That made no sense that there wasn't a disqualification.
He's still telling it.
Foley used an elbow drop off the apron onto the floor, which we saw. He was probably feeling that one the next day. Dave, he still feels him, okay? Foley threw him in the ring and went for the pin, but Angle kicked out. Foley put the sock claw on Angle, which we just witnessed. Angle powered out and landed on top and did ground and pound like an MMA match, and then grabbed an ankle lock. Foley made the ropes the first time. Angle put the hold on again, and Foley took the sock off his hand, but still didn't escape Angle. Angle did the heel hook, which led to Foley tapping out. Here he is, the tap out. Man, I'm right on par with this, timing-wise. The entire Mafia gets into the ring to celebrate all their wins as the show goes off the air. Dave Meltzer just gave you 2.5 stars. That might be one of the lowest rated matches I think I've ever read back to you, Kurt, from Dave.
I don't blame him. I do understand. I totally understand.
Yeah. I mean,
I'm actually happy he gave me 2.5.
Yeah, at least it wasn't -4 like the ladies' match. Now here comes the Mafia. You got your arms raised in the air. Nash he's hobbling out, and good. I think that's how he normally walks now. And then there's Booker, Samoa Joe looking like Mike Tyson with that fake tattoo on his face,
and Taz.
Oh, and here's Taz. Let's listen a little bit to what's going on here.
The outset, we've been here for 7 years, and I've got to tell you, this is a worst-case scenario. The main event,
Steiner.
Mafia, clean sweep. Championship after championship after championship. Factor in Samoa Joe's win over Sting. And what we have witnessed tonight at Victory Road is that complete and that total domination that the Mafia promised.
Well, it's unprecedented. They have all the power here in TNA. It all started when they were able to convince Joe to come over. Look at that. Look at that array of champions. Past, present, future, and now. I mean, it's just unbelievable. It's one thing saying it, it's another doing it. And I'm going to tell you, they did it. They backed it up, and they carried it out.
Yes, the exclusive all-world heavyweight champion fraternity known as the Main Event Mafia. Yes, they have done it. They've taken all the championship gold tonight at Victory Road, and I'm instructed that we are going to go back right now at this point and review what went down tonight.
I mean, think about all.
But this is some payback for when he went against.
Sorry, Mike, today we're not going to review that. We're done with the show. I hit the wrong button. But, Kurt, what'd you think overall? I mean, working with Mick at this time, probably wish you'd have been healthier and you know.
Yeah, I wish Mick was in better wrestling shape. I know he wished he was, but still it wasn't bad. I was really happy with the match, especially with me, my groin injury. And
that's right.
Knowing that he didn't have the conditioning that he wanted. I thought the match wasn't shit. I thought it was okay.
Yeah, his wrestling shape, but also your injury. All right.